Good afternoon to you. I'm Ashley Kirkland. We want to get you to that breaking news. A verdict is in on the federal corruption trial for former Cincinnati City Council member P.G. Sittenfeld. We have live team coverage down at the courthouse right now. We are hearing a split verdict, guilty on 2 counts. Let's get to Karen Johnson, who was inside the courtroom. Karen.
Well, that's right. P.G. Sittenfeld was just found guilty on 2 counts, 1 count of bribery, 1 count of attempted extortion. He was acquitted on both counts of honest services wire fraud and the other count of bribery and the other count of attempted extortion. I could tell you it was pretty dramatic inside the courtroom. It was a packed courtroom, about 50 people sitting behind P.G. Sittenfeld, who are all of his supporters. His wife was there. On the opposite side, some government workers. The media kind of split it. When P.G. Sittenfeld walked into the courtroom, he walked in with his wife, Sarah. He kissed her on the head, and then he took his seat, or he stood at the defense table. She took a seat in the front row. Of course, they read it in order, all 6 counts. The first 2 counts, they said, honest services wire fraud, not guilty. Honest services wire fraud, not guilty. You kind of heard the cries and the sighs, kind of a relief coming from Sittenfeld and his supporters. But then the next 2 counts, he was found guilty. That's when you really saw the tears. Sittenfeld himself was just sitting at the table with both Rickers and Charlie on each side. You could see there was a little bit of a relief. I was sitting kind of behind him, so I couldn't see his face. But when they said not guilty, you kind of saw him lower his head. Then after the 2 guilty verdicts, you just saw that, you saw that he was pretty devastated. He was not acquitted on all counts. And same with his wife. I was looking at her, and it sounded like, once they were saying the not guilty, there was relief, and then followed by the tears on the 2 guilty counts. I can tell you that the Charlie Rickers, the defense team, they've requested that I believe that they talk to the jurors. A lot of times when there is a verdict, they want to talk to the jurors, kind of get a sense of, where they were in deliberations, kind of what happened, what they felt he did, what they felt he didn't do. So, of course, they have not come out yet. But I know they're going to be talking to them, is what I believe. And as soon as they come out, we'll bring you any comments that they have. Back to you.
Now, Karen, you've been there since the start of this trial 3 weeks ago, and we know this investigation started in 2018. And Sittenfeld was actually offered a plea deal he turned down, where his prison term would have been capped for 2 months if he accepted that plea deal. What does this mean for him now with these 2 guilty charges?
Yeah, so you know what, the plea deal was offered prior to this trial, and from what my understanding is, it would have been capped at 2 years, possibly with the possibility of maybe only getting probation. But, once the trial starts and you turn down a plea deal, that is off the table. So now sentencing will be at a later date. It'll probably be about 60 to 90 days out, and it would be my guess. As far as how much time is he looking, we'll have to go back. We'll have to talk to experts. Federal court is not like common pleas court, where you're kind of given a certain amount of time. You're facing this many years to this many years. I do believe it is upwards of 10 years, but all the experts that we've talked to over the weeks and months say it's highly unlikely, and that was if he was convicted on all counts. It's highly unlikely he would face that. So that's something we'll be talking to our legal experts about and trying to find out what kind of sentence he is facing.
And I know we're waiting to hear from anyone walking out of that courtroom. Karen, talk to us about the makeup of the jury and any kind of reaction that maybe you could have read on their faces today.
Yeah. I was watching the jury very carefully when they entered the courtroom. They're the last ones to enter before the verdict is read. And as they walked in, most of them just kind of looked straight ahead. There was one woman, though, that kind of looked at the defense team, kind of looked at P.G. Sittenfeld. But they really just kind of had, blank stares. There was no, excitement in their faces. This was a difficult job, so I don't know why there would be. But there was really no emotion on their faces as they just walked in. They were very calm. They took their seats. The jury was made up of 9 women and 5 men. There was 12 jurors. I could tell you over the course of the trial, they selected 16. 4 were alternates. We did lose two jurors over the course of this. One was to a dental issue, another was to COVID. But again, at the end of the day, the ones who were deciding these verdicts, it was 9 women and 3 men.
And Karen, as we wait for people to file out of the courtroom,